Good morning, everyone, and welcome to IG Live with myself this morning on this beautiful February 13th. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and I'm actually not in red, the color of love. I felt grounded in blue today. Welcome to Wellness by Natasha. And I'm not calling this Women in Wellness this morning because the topic that I'm about to share is something that can affect and has affected many individuals, male, female, children, teenagers, and young adults, and even adults. And the spectrum of how BDD affects people is broad, and it is sensitive, and it's something that is individual to each person who has gone through it. So I want to address that I am not a clinician. I actually have not even been diagnosed with BDD, but through my studies and over time and in this wellness world, I definitely can relate to the aspects of body dysmorphic disorder. And also I'm raising teenagers, and I can see it in not only female teenagers, but also even in male teenagers. So what exactly is body dysmorphic disorder? It's a serious mental health condition characterized by an intense obsessive preoccupation with one or more perceived flaws. And these are physical flaws, obviously, in appearance when one looks at themselves in the mirror. And it can be minor and often invisible to other people. So, but BDD can come in waves, as I experienced in my life, and it can also be debilitating to people where they are not able to socially function, they're not able to go to school or show up to work. And those are severe cases where intervention is required. And that would be a cognitive behavioral therapy. I want to talk about the aspects of how we move from body awareness to something more internal, to something more spiritual, if you will, as a human being. And I'll start with myself, and I'll just share my experience. I talked with some beautiful friends before I came on to share this live, and wrote down some notes on different ideas of what other individuals have faced through this, and then collectively with my own experience. I think that it's the start of a beautiful share and chat with my community. And let's discuss how it was first initiated before I start with my childhood experiences. It was my birthday 2 weeks ago, and my beautiful daughter, Michaela, was going through dusty photo files of me in the computer, and she pulled out some old photos of me, which were definitely beautiful in her eyes, and the one that I shared in my post was very triggering for me. And she sent me the photo in a text, and I was in a different location from her, and I actually got emotional, and I looked at it because I had not seen the photo after 20 years of my husband taking the photo on the holiday we were on. And what was I thinking in that photo? A lot of things, and I was going through a lot of things in my personal life, which usually is a derivative of body dysmorphic disorder. But I desperately wanted to be a mother at that time, and it was a couple of years of struggle sustaining pregnancy. So I did not see this sun-kissed, ocean air, hair blowing in the wind, youthful woman. I saw and felt a lot of distress when I looked at the photo then, and it brought me back to that feeling now when I looked at it. But in a different light, because I did truly see a beautiful woman then, when I look back at it now. So where do these things begin? Where do they start? And I feel that as adults, we have to be so careful, as teachers and mentors and adults, we have to be so careful how we speak to children. They absorb everything. And so it can start at a young age. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. For me, I was 8 years old, and my adult teeth grew in. And they grew in terribly crooked to the point where one tooth was going this way and one was going that way, and it was a circus in my mouth. So what does that cause? That causes a child to not want to smile with my mouth open, and never wanting to take photos. I dreaded photo day. And then I would hear, of course, the comments from children at school, classmates, about my teeth. And it became so obsessive that I would bite into the apples of my family's fruit basket and just take a bite and look at the teeth marks to see if my teeth had moved straighter. And then I would leave the lucky person, one of my brothers, to get the bitten in apple to enjoy later. This was an obsession. It started to become an obsession. And then, of course, I got braces, and that improved my smile. But then that went away, and when I was 14 years old, hormones decided to speak to me loudly, and I woke up with the wildest, curliest hair you can imagine. And it was like overnight. My hair just went wild, curly, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was an athlete. Like I said, I grew up with brothers, so I didn't have a sister to share with me how to groom out my hair beautifully. And I did love fashion, but I was still young and put my hair in a ponytail and hoped for the best that day. And again, I would hear comments from classmates about my wild hair. And for those of you who may be watching and remember me in high school, you remember my hair. It was wild. And now I think it was kind of cool. But, so these are all just self-conscious things. Those are my aesthetic things that I started with. And then medically, I had skin conditions where I'd hide my hands because of eczema. And I remember even going out on dates with young men and hiding my hands in my pockets because I was so uncomfortable to share my hands. I was a volleyball player, and you use your hands when you play volleyball, and I was a pianist. So those were things that started with the obsession. And back in the day, in the 90s, if you're my era, we had magazines. And I loved fashion. I still love fashion, you know that. And design. And I loved the aspect of beauty as art. So whether it's social media that we're looking at now or it's fashion magazines back then, it's blasted in our faces, regardless. Maybe it is more so now, for sure, but it was then as well. And I would sit in my room and I would have all these beautiful magazines spread out on my bed, and I would just be like, you know, comparison again, back to comparison. It got a little serious for me, and this is where the shift happened. Because the lighthearted things that I'm sharing about my teeth or my hair or even my skin, everyone has gone through things like this in some different shape or form. When I was 22, I was an avid marathon runner, and I really became connected with healthy eating. And we have to be so careful of the term health conscious or healthy eating, or even the word wellness is really broad. I became obsessed with eating healthy. So I would take food as fuel, but to the point where I was losing the love of food and the nourishment and warmth of food that it gives us. So marathon running, 42K once a week, training and so forth, and 5'7", I'm 5'7", and I went down to 103 pounds. You can imagine. And when that happens, you don't see what others see in the mirror. I was just going. It was a machine. And for sure, family members were sharing their love to me, hoping that I would, get out of that, and friends, and I did. It lasted a short window. Luckily, I wasn't hospitalized or some of the severe cases that we know of, but it was a wake-up call for sure. And then I started to see my health differently. When I got out of that, I looked at my health differently for sure, and I needed to shift. And the shift happened when I found compassion for me, for Natasha. We can get so hard on ourselves and so fixated on ourselves. Being an athlete, and even a high-achieving academic, I always was striving to be better and to do more. It was never good enough, in my mind. I had a very supportive, beautiful family growing up. My parents and those around me. It was myself. It was, always striving for more. And there's a fine line to that. So even when I hear the word empowerment now, it doesn't really resonate with me, as opposed to soften. For me, that resonates. Soften with ourselves. The idea of just saying I am, and then not having to finish that affirmation, I am. And that's it. Why do we always have to be more? So that's where the shift happened for me, the compassion, and I started really diving deeper into meditation and my yoga practice, and realizing also, and I want to share this with young people who may look at this later when I upload it. We go through waves in life of what our idea is of beauty in our mind and in our head, and as we find beauty around us through gratitude. I talked about journaling, but you don't have to do all of those things that may seem trendy, which were never trendy for me, but just find gratitude around us. And that starts to make the slow shift from this aspect of self-image and comparison. And I also remember when I was in that photo that Michaela shared, I remember someone on the beach stopping me and wanting to take a photo of me, and I refused. And that person, and they were not imposing on me, they just thought it was a beautiful image at the moment. And I refused, and now I look back and I'm like, that person probably saw beauty in me, just like now I see beauty in someone else, and beauty is what it is in our eyes. But it comes also from a feeling in our heart and in our soul. And when have we ever found beauty in someone who is self-absorbed, rude, unkind, competitive, jealous? The beauty dissolves, it dismisses, it's gone. So that light inside of us, that energy inside of us, is felt, and it shoots out to the world. And that's the beauty. So my shift also with my career, I was an interior designer, and I loved that career. And I thought it would be my lifelong profession. I still love it. But it wasn't fulfilling me. And it wasn't fulfilling me because there was something internal that was still sitting here. And so that's where I also want to talk about purpose. Because self-awareness and self-love and confidence and beauty within comes also with creating purpose with ourselves and accomplishing things that fulfill us. So I shifted out of interior design, became a mother, and then went into the wellness world, into holistic nutrition, because I really understood it from my own life experiences, and body, mind, movement. Because I was hard on my body through athletics and running, and I knew that that wasn't fulfilling me spiritually and internally, and I knew that that could tap into a broader community of people that may have been feeling the same. So I moved into teaching Pilates with aspects of yoga and martial arts, and this is all breath work, and then of course health coaching and nutrition in a healthy way where we're intuitive and we're not obsessive. And I come, as I've mentioned, from a background of experiences. And so that's the aspect of what I want to share today, is that the beauty that we see blasted on Instagram, on our feeds, and the young people are faced with it. I hope that this resonates for someone going through some form of BDD or anorexia, and more severe cases where you can't even socialize in public. Work on the aspects within ourselves, and then the rest unfolds. Meditation, I just did a beautiful meditation practice with Dr. Michelle Combalis, my dear friend, this morning at 6:30. It is a lifestyle for me. It's not a trend. It's not something that comes and goes. It's a lifestyle for me, because also the wave of confidence and life moves up and down, and everything is temporary. We know that. So good moments come and then bad moments come, and that affects also our insecurities, our confidence, and so forth. And I do really invite the young people to gratitude journal. I'm hesitant to talk about journaling sometimes because it's so, feels so trendy now. This idea of drink your lemon water, wake up, have a meditation practice, journal. But these really are things that I did since I was younger, and they evolved over time, and they helped me to get through those insecurities that I talked about as a child. And now here I am, and I can smile with my big teeth. And if my curly hair is frizzy today, it's frizzy, it's raining in Vancouver, so it might go wild later. I don't care. So be it. We're not here to impress anyone. And if we need to impress people, then we're surrounded around the wrong people. Give me a thumb up in the comments if you agree. So I have some beautiful friends that are going to be joining me in this topic in the weeks to come, because so many have experienced this in different ways, and they have beautiful stories to share as well. And I want to say again that it's not just, thank you for the thumbs up, it's not just women. I was teaching ballet dancers at the ballet school that were 13 to 18 years old. And that's a given. I think we can all understand that was a real industry, an environment of insecurity and a lot of self-doubt in those beautiful young dancers. And I became a mentor to many of them, where I was on speed dial for them in the evening, and I didn't view them as a client. I viewed them as myself as an adult, looking back at my younger self and giving them reassurance that they are beautiful inside out, because they all were. And you try looking at yourself in the mirror as a teenager in a skin-tight leotard and staring at yourself for an hour, and comparing yourself to her over there. She looks fabulous. That one over there, her bun is great. Like, the mind is just gonna go wild. But I also want to say that I taught academy basketball boys from the age of 13 to 18, and they were certainly a different demographic than the ballet dancers, but the insecurity wasn't too far off from the dancers. One is taller, one is shorter, one is filling out sooner than another. In the Pilates aspect, when we would do that portion, who's stronger, who can hold a plank longer, and then, because the way that I structure my classes, we start with a yoga flow, we do Pilates, and then we end with meditation. Somehow, every child, female or female, dancers or basketball players, yearned for that savasana. And the aspect of inner smile and self-love. Interesting. So feel free to share in the comments if you have anything as well, because I think that that's beautiful to create this as a community space. I want to close today with a thought that my dear friend Michelle Cambalas, Dr. Cambalas, wrote in her book, When Women Rise. And I think this is a beautiful thought for everyone. Stillness. When we are still enough, long enough, we begin to see what is there. Sadness, joy, shame, fear, all waiting in the chambers of the heart, longing to be seen, heard, and held. You could not have known what was building behind the fog of the doing, striving, proving. You could not see until the stillness awakened you, like the sun awakens the bud to flower. But you cannot force the bloom. May you rest in your stillness. May you soften your effort. And may you discover yourself again, radiant, pure, light. Not empowerment, stillness. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day.